It is August, but I didn't get my July garden tour in, so I am going to go ahead and do my end of July garden tour in August. What is today, like the 3rd? I am wearing my gardening is cheaper than therapy, and you get tomatoes t-shirt. Good morning, California 5K. I'm doing my July garden tour a little bit late. Um, Let me see if I can turn this camera around so I can do it the other way. There we go. Now I can be behind here and probably see comments and all that good stuff. So, excuse me. Here's the top of my garden, my sweet corn, which is not looking real great, but hopefully I'll get some ears growing and plumping out off of here soon. Thanks for saying beautiful garden. This is the full view of it. It's not real huge, but I have a good time with it. Here's some comfrey. This is Bocking 14 comfrey, which is supposed to be better because it doesn't proliferate quite as much as the regular comfrey. I think it doesn't propagate by seeds, but it does seed, so that has me a little bit confused. Here is moringa. Always try to have some moringa every day. It doesn't really taste that good, but it's supposed to be really good for you. This is my lemongrass. I put a little sprig of this that I bought at the landscape store, put it in the ground, and it has an awesome flavor. You can make tea out of it. It has a good smell. It makes the house nice and smelly too. Smelly, good smelly, right? This is a fig that I pinched the top of it to try and see if I could make some figs this year. But I'm not seeing any figs coming out yet. There's another fig tree that I did pinch, and now it's definitely got some figs coming out. So the race is on to see if it's going to be able to produce some edible figs before we get frost, because figs do not like frost. They're more for a Mediterranean climate. My sunflowers, looking good. Some of them already passed. Here's how you get the seeds out of a sunflower. You let it dry out more than what this, and then pull the flower petals off, and the seeds are underneath there. But you let it dry out a little more, and then you can get the seeds out to eat or to save them to plant for next year. See, I also planted some popcorn down here. Popcorn, you just let it be on the vine until it dries out, because that's what it is. It's dried corn, and then you pop it. Here's the back end of my watermelon trellis. This is the one that got stuck in the trellis. These watermelons may be ready to harvest. They're called sugar babies, so they only get 6 or 7 inches across, which was actually a good crop for here because the vines don't go everywhere too. Probably could have done this without the trellis. There's one in the middle of the corn patch too. I need to look up how to tell when the watermelons are ripe. But basically there's a little tendril here where the stem comes up from the watermelon, and they say if that tendril is dried out, the watermelon should be ripe. So what has me confused though is that the stem is so green, but it might be ripe. I never even put some support on here, but the vine has held it fine. Here's some tomatoes. Hello, Rob93 Aquatics. Good morning. Good morning, Monchichi. I'm doing my garden tour this month as a live, stream because this is my July garden tour. Just slightly late. This is a Boxcar Willie tomato, and I'm not really thrilled with the taste of it. I haven't really found a great tomato that I really like, which is I don't know why. This peach tree here is a volunteer, and it's really grown out this year. You never seen a trellised watermelon? Yeah, it's possible to do it. I've seen it before. Someone, let's see, who is it? Callie Kim has a gardening channel from California, and of course she's got limited space in her garden too, so she trellises her watermelon. But you can trellis watermelon, squash, cucumbers, and they do really well. Cucumbers are really good trellised because then they're nice and straight. Let's see, here's some more comfrey. Here's where I pulled my potatoes out. This is some ginger, which sort of got a late start. I also have some turmeric, which is getting a late start too. Hello, He Provides Homestead. Welcome to my July garden tour in a live stream format. Here's some more turmeric. More turmeric. That got planted sort of late because I had a hard time finding some stores that had turmeric. This is a southern yellow squash, and I've had a lot of problems with vine borers, and the vine borers did not seem to get that. YURG, welcome to the chat. Good morning. All right, thanks. Yeah, I love watching gardening videos. Here's another little fig. Here's some Swiss chard that is showing the effects of the hot summer. But if they hang on just a little bit more, they'll probably leaf out and grow really well in the fall. This is a goji berry. My main plant really never took off. I planted it like 3 years ago, but there's a couple sprouts that came up outside of the main plant that are really taking off. So you can see it's got some blooms here, and it's got some berries that are starting to plump out. So they'll turn into nice little red berries. Goji berries are also supposed to be really good for you. Here's another moringa tree. This one is, I think this is my tallest one this year. Last year I had one that grew 17 feet. This year, for some reason, this is my tallest. It's only 4 feet. But it has a little bit more time to grow before the frost. Some zinnias. I love zinnias. They're so easy to grow. Yeah, this year has been a terrible year for gardening here. Well, we had a great spring. It was really, really good. And then it dried out. Got really, really super dry. And I had to even water my garden a few times. Which, when you're doing wood chip gardening, you shouldn't really have to water it too much because the wood chips provide enough cover that the soil stays moist. But it did get super hot super early. So let's see, this is my raised bed that I need to start pulling things up and planting some fall crops in. But these are traveling onions. They might be Tokyo. And here's some sorrel that's holding on through the hot weather. Again, that'll probably start growing. Yeah, too much rain in the spring. We had a great amount of rain in the spring, and then we had a dry spell, and then we've got I don't know how many inches in the past couple days. Here's another sunflower that's already beyond its prime. Here's a trellis that has some cucumbers. These are what are they? Lemon cucumbers. They make nice little round cucumber, round little balls like this. But I've had problems. I think it's a vine borer that's even getting inside my cucumbers. But this one doesn't look like it has them. But it puts out, they put little holes in them and then they bore in there. And I've been eating them anyways. If you put them underwater, the worms come out. See if I can show you. Yeah, here's one over here that has holes all through it. Because this one was on closer to the ground. And let me open it up and you can see the worms. Not really what you want to see in an organic garden, but sort of interesting. Sort of hard to do with one hand. I'm not seeing the worms. Maybe they already came out because of all that rain. They might have came out and went to the next cucumber by now. But this will make a nice breakfast for me. There's strawberries that I planted a couple plants this spring. Those should be ready to produce next spring. Here's a tomato cage trellis. These early girls have been my best producing tomatoes this year. They've really done pretty amazing, and people say that they don't like the flavor of them. But I like the flavor. They produced early and they're still producing. So they've been the best tomato for me. Have a little basil here. On the end of here, it's not doing real well because it's not getting much sun there. I let this cage go sort of wild, planted some beans in it, which I'll chop down and let compost back into the soil here, provide some nutrition. Some more comfrey. I did a second crop of asparagus. A lot of people don't know that you can do that, but the spears will start coming through the ground in July around here, and you can pull the old seed tops off, and the the asparagus will start coming through again. There's one. My camera didn't like it that I twisted it sideways like that. But for harvesting asparagus, what you do is you grab it and you twist it back and forth and just pull it out. Let me see, who was that? See who? RC88. Alright, thanks for stopping in. Here's my asparagus, and that'll make a nice little, some bites for my breakfast too. It's really, really tender. See that? It has a lot of moisture content in it. I love coming out and getting my breakfast in the garden. There's some more Swiss chard. Here's my largest fig tree, which is actually looking more like a bush right now. It's got some figs on it. And these figs as well are going to be hard pushed to get right by frost. I think they are earlier than last year's were though. It's got a lot of figs on there. Here's my Jerusalem artichokes, which have fallen down all over the place with all this rain. So I need to get some string and tie them up to that fence. They're covering up little fig starts back there. And here are some peppers. Oh, dropped my tomato. This was a winter sown peppers. There's like 4 plants coming out of there, and they're jalapenos. So there's a bunch of them on there. The longer you leave them on there, the hotter they get too. So I need to harvest those and start cooking some Mexican food. I had some cucumbers coming up here, but it looks like the, what do you call it, that fungus? You've never seen a garden live stream. Well, guess this is a first time for everything, huh? This is, I think I've done one other live stream for a garden. You can, if we stayed on the live stream long enough, I guess we could watch things grow, right? But yeah, my cucumbers got that blight, and I didn't treat them for it, so I don't know if they're going to put out any more cucumbers or not. I don't really see any hanging here even. There's some cherry tomatoes, which probably was a volunteer tomato. They are sometimes the best tomatoes are the ones that volunteer. Here's some more peppers. It was so dry that they haven't really put out many peppers, but they'll probably start producing now that the weather's turned wet again. Here's some blackberries. I just planted this bush this spring. Good blackberries. Look at that. Yum yum. So good. Here's a branch that fell down on the ground. Excuse me while I eat. So good. This is my red Malabar spinach, which I didn't even plant this year. It came up from the seeds from last year and just went wild all over the place, all over this fence. It's a vine that climbs. What I like to do is I like to eat the tips. Yep. The tips are very tender and they're really good. What I need to do is I need to clip a bunch of those tips and go in and make a stir fry with them. Here is another tomato patch, which I really prepped the soil really well for these tomatoes. And I didn't stake them up, I'm just sort of letting them sprawl. But I got the tomatoes in the ground really late, so they are just getting started. So maybe they'll miss some of the diseases that the earlier tomatoes had. Right here we're on the top side of my garden. Got some beans going up this trellis. And here is my persimmon tree that I just planted last fall too. Looks like the persimmons are starting to get ripe. These are a cultivated non-astringent variety, so they won't make your mouth pucker up. Hello, Uniquely Jacqueline. Welcome to the garden tour. I'm live streaming. I'm just about at the end of it, but you're welcome to go back to the beginning and look at it as soon as it uploads. Here is an apple tree that I just planted this fall too. It actually had some blooms on it this spring, but they didn't make any fruit because it was a brand new tree. I was surprised it even put out any blossoms. Let's see. Oh, here's a cucumber plant that does have some cucumbers on it. See right there? That cucumber will probably grow into a nice cucumber in not too long. Just a few days, really. These are Anaheim chilies. So that's got some nice peppers on it. There's some nice hot peppers. I usually chop my peppers up and put them in the freezer. Let me see. I guess that's about all of the main garden. I do have some other spots where I have some things growing, but I actually got to get to work this morning. My comfrey is ready to chop down, chop and drop, or I can make compost, tea, fertilizer with it. Here's my grandson's fairy garden. It has some fairy garden things in there, and he had a nice little tiny sunflower that grew up here which is already beyond its blooming stage. Thanks for stopping in, Jacqueline. Have a good day. I'm trying to figure out if this is a pecan tree or if it's a sumac. I'm sort of leaning towards sumac because I put some pecan seeds in the ground about a year and a half ago, and I had a couple of these came up, but I also had a couple that came up in the main row that are different looking than this. So I'm thinking this might be a weed, but I have a pecan tree over here, which is pretty big, but you have to have two pecan trees to pollinate each other to get pecans. And I thought I was in the south and there would be a pecan tree close enough, but I should have had pecans on that tree already. So I planted some other ones, but it's going to be a while before they're big enough to pollinate each other. All right, let me show you my gardening shirt again before we leave. Gardening is cheaper than therapy, and you get tomatoes. Let's see, who said that? The chat was there for a second. Monchichi. Yeah, I know it does look awful like a pecan tree, but I don't know. I might let it go a little longer to see what it is. But see, the bark at the bottom is starting to look like pecan, maybe. But the branches coming out seem like they're more red. Like, see how those are red? And this pecan tree doesn't have any red to it. It's more just like a brown. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, well, thanks for stopping in for the live stream, and thanks for watching the video, the people that stop in after the live stream. I appreciate your support. Have a great Saturday. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'm going to go ahead and get to work. Have a blessed day. We'll talk to you later. I appreciate the support. Oh, by the way, I just went over 1,000 subscribers yesterday, and I'm excited about that. Excited to see the channel growing. All right, thanks for watching again. Have a blessed day. Love you all.